What is going on, team? Today we're going to learn how to make a 40-second video using Clipchamp. To do this, we're going to bring multiple different sources of media together to make your video. We're going to bring media in from an SLR camera. We're going to bring media in from my phone, and we're also going to bring media in to the project from our visual content team's library, which is stored in Dropbox. But before we go on, I must say that Clipchamp only works with Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge browsers. So if you have those, that's great. You'll be able to jump straight in, but if you don't, now's a great time to have those installed, and then you'll be able to move on with the tutorial. Firstly, we'll need to store the media from my SLR onto the computer for Clipchamp to access. Now I'll show you how I do it, and if you've got a better way, that's great. Just remember, the most important thing is that you know where the files are when it comes time to edit with them in Clipchamp. So what I do when I'm storing the media that I'm going to use in a project is I go to a folder that I've created, which is a Clipchamp folder, and within that Clipchamp folder I create a folder for the project that I'm working on now. And in this case it's the tree giveaway announcement. So within that folder we're going to use two pieces of media from two different devices. One is the Canon camera, which is the piece to camera that I filmed, and the other one is some media from the iPhone. So as you can see here, I've already imported the piece to camera that we're going to use for the project. And if I go back to this folder, when I import media from my phone into Clipchamp, that media has to be stored somewhere. And what Clipchamp does is it stores that media in your downloads folder. That's fine, you can leave it there if you like, but what I like to do is I like to move it from the downloads folder into the project folder in an iPhone folder. So then if I do need that media really quickly at a later date, I know exactly where it is to access it. So now that we have the media in the project folder, it's time to open Clipchamp. I already have an account, so I'm just opening the account that I've created, and I have a few projects in there. So I'm not going to go through creating an account today, but if that's something you'd like to learn more about, I'm sure we can get some information to you about that. Now, looking at the home page, I'll just go through what we have here. So on the top left hand side is your personal account and your personal account details. We have the home page, we have the videos that we've made. If we select that, there's a brand kit which we haven't made up yet, but we're able to create a DPi brand kit and a template library, but we're not going to go through the template library today. So we'll go back to home. Now at the top here we have a shortcut to some templates that Clipchamp offer. Again, we won't go through these today because we're going to cut a really simple video, which is basically a piece to camera on a clean timeline where you can add your own text title, your own DPi branded New South Wales Waratah logo at the end, and some music and some overlay. What I need to do now is create a new project. And that's simply done by coming over to create a video, select that. So on this page we have a timeline at the bottom where we will build the edit. We have an opportunity to name the project, which I'll do now. So I'll do tree give away. We also have the option here to back up the media that you import to the cloud that Clipchamp offers. Over here to the right, we have the option to create different video sizes. The ones that we use at DPi most often are 16 by 9 and a 1 by 1, but for this example we'll make it a 16 by 9. Over here we have the option to go back to the home page, and down here you can see the previous projects that I've created and also the new one that I've just created, which is tree giveaway. So we'll step back into that one. I'll go through what we'll use today. So with this button, this is how you add media to your project, and you can do so by browsing the files on your desktop. You can do so by adding files from your phone, and in today's example we'll also import files from Dropbox. And when you do import files, those files will be stored in this project in this folder, My Media. You also have a library for music that Clipchamp offers. So you can go through some different music options which will help your video. They have stock video and stock images. We won't go through those today. The text tool we'll be using, so you can step into here and go through some different text options. So we use this for the animated name super and job title, and yeah, the mirror one is what we use down here, but we'll explain more of that later. Graphics we won't go into, but filters and transitions, not so much the filters, but we'll talk about the transitions that we can also add to our video to give it a nice, more professional look. Okay, let's get underway. So we'll start by importing the media that we're going to edit with, and this is where the file structure really does come in handy, because now I know exactly where the files are. I can navigate to those files and import them to the project. So I'm going to browse files, and I'll go down to projects, Clipchamp, tree, giveaway announcement, and Canon, and there's the piece to camera that I've filmed for this example, and I'll open that. That imports this media to the project that I'm now able to edit with. And it says here your media isn't backed up to the cloud, and that's where this option comes in handy. So if I was to select this, and I can turn on the cloud backup, so what that does now is it backs up the media that's in this project to the cloud, because if I don't do that, the media is only in that folder structure that I created. Which is fine if I'm only going to edit here, but if I was wanting to do this edit on a different computer, say this laptop, well then the media wouldn't be accessible. So really great feature to have. So that'll back up in the background, and you'll just see that circle already backed up. So that is now completed, and now that file is on this computer and also in the cloud backup storage that Clipchamp offers. The next piece of media I want to bring in is from the Dropbox. So I add media again, and I navigate to Dropbox. I won't go into a lot of detail now, but the visual content team has created different video compiles that we store in Dropbox, and we're able to access those files through Clipchamp, which is a really exciting part about this editing software. So to access those, you have to put in the Dropbox details, which we can give to you at a later date. But for now, I've already put in the Dropbox details for where this media lies, and yeah, I'm able to now import those files. So I've opened the folder to where the files are, and Visual Content Team Media. I'll open that. And here you can see all the files that we've got stored in the Dropbox for anybody to use at any time. Okay, so the file that I want to import is the Western Sydney tree planting. So I just select that file and press select. And you can see up here on the left-hand side, it's now importing that file from Dropbox for us to be able to use in the edit. So now we have the piece to camera about the tree planting giveaway, and we have some overlay to go with that video. The other thing I want to import is the New South Wales Waratah, which is also located in Dropbox. So again, I go to Add Media, Import from Dropbox, Library, and we've stored it in a graphics folder. Open that and select the file, press select, and now we have the piece to camera, some overlay, and the New South Wales Waratah logo. Now the last thing we want to do is import media from our phone to Clipchamp. Really simple to do. Again, press Add Media from phone. What happens here is you're given a web address to enter into your phone. So you enter that into your phone to put the code in, and once the code in, then Clipchamp will have access to your media. So press choose, Then as you can see, the media is importing into my project from my phone. You'll also be able to choose more than one file. You just go through them and select them one by one in the same process. Okay, so now that we have all the media that we're going to need to make today's video, we can really get underway. And the first thing that we are going to do is drop the piece to camera to the timeline. So we've dropped the piece to camera to the timeline. And what I'll do now is I'll go through the different functionalities of Clipchamp. Now we've got the timeline there. On the top here we have undo and redo. So if we make a mistake, we can undo. And if we've done too many undos, we can just do a redo. Here's the scissors. So this is to split the clip on the timeline. That has to be an active clip. So you can see that it's green, it's active. I can deselect it and it's not green. But when I select it, it's active, and I can split the clip in multiple places, and I can delete that bit of media out, and I can slide that down. Really handy. So I'll undo those steps. Got the bin so we can delete a clip from the timeline. And we've got a duplicate. So if we want to duplicate a clip on the timeline, so I again make sure it's selected, press duplicate, and over here we've got make the timeline bigger and smaller and fit to fill the screen. So if we make it bigger, we can zoom in, we can zoom out, and fit to fill the screen. So you can see the duplicate that I made over here, but I'll delete that so I can highlight it, just press delete, and that media has now been removed. And now what we want to do is go to the music and sound effects tab. So this is stock music that Clipchamp have for you to make your videos. So if I click on that tab, I've got a few options here. But just for the sake of this example, I'm just going to add this first one down. And as you can see, I'll minimize the timeline by zooming out. We've got a really nice long track that will go underneath our whole video. But to make the editing process a little simpler, I have the two options. I've got it selected, and I can use scissors, and I can delete the extra music off the end, or I can go back to undo, or the other option is I can drag it back to the beginning. Now I always like a little bit of tail because that's where we're going to put the New South Waratah over the end of the video. I also like a bit of music at the top. So I'm just going to drag the piece to camera forward a second or so, and we're going to start the video from there.
I'm here to launch this year's...
Now as you can see, the music's actually too loud for the video at this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the music track, make it green, and when you go to the top here, you see that you've got two options. First one is audio and the second one is fade. And these options only apply to audio, and that's because we've only got the audio track selected. So if I go to audio and the track volume, I want to bring it right down. It's quite high. I'm going to bring it down to like 6. And if I go to the beginning now,
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales...
Alright, so now I've got a piece to camera with some music underneath it. I think the voiceover might be a bit loud. So when I select the piece to camera, I have a few more options that pop up. And one of those options is audio. So I'm going to bring the audio of the talent down.
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales Government's efforts to...
Okay, so now what I want to do, just so we don't have a harsh in and harsh out, with the audio, when I select that, I have the option to fade in and fade out at the top and bottom. So that's 0.2 of a second. So we'll do a second at the top and a second at the tail of the video. You can hear the music.
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree...
Fade up, and we'll do the same at the end. There's many ways you can move on from this stage, and if you've got your own way and you're very familiar with editing, please do what you're comfortable with. But once I've built my base, I then start at the top and move back. But if I've actually got the graphic, I'm happy to just put the graphic on the end. Well, I'm just going to add the graphic now. Just going to move it up to the end, and because the music is going to fade out there and the graphic goes to there, I'm just going to drag the music along so then the music will fade out by the time the graphic finishes. So then we look at that. So now we've got a really nice clean top of the video and a really nice clean tail of the video, and what I'm going to want to do is start to overlay the video. So if I go back to the beginning, and we just want to listen to what the talent's talking about.
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales Government's efforts to make sure that Sydney is a cleaner and greener city.
Okay, so I'm going to start to go through my overlay, Western Sydney tree planting. So we've got some trees in a pot plant here. I'm going to pretend that they're the trees that are being given away with the magic of television. So I've just added that to the timeline, and then I'm going to find out the shots that I want. That looks like a tree giveaway. I'm going to clip it, so that'll be a shot that I use. This is a tree that looks like it's been given away. Just clip that. That'll be another shot that I use. There's another one in the ground. Clip that. And clip that. So there's 3 shots that I'm going to use. But what I want to do first is I actually want to start with a drone shot, like an establishing shot. So I'm going to go through the overlay. I'm going to minimize this a little bit. And I know at the end of the compile, we have a nice drone shot of Western Sydney and some nice trees. So that's a shot I'm going to use. Just press play. Yep, there's enough there. So I've got it selected. It's green. I use the scissor. I play. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Stop. Scissor. Okay, so now I've got 4 shots that I'm going to use in this video. First shot I want to start with is the drone shots. So I'm going to pick that one up, and I'm just going to drag it down to the beginning of the video. Okay. So we look at the first shot.
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales Government.
So we've got an establishing shot of trees in Greater Sydney, and now we've got those 3 shots that we've selected, which are sort of signifying the tree giveaway. So the first shot I'm going to start with is, what's this shot? Is this shot. So it looks like these are the plants that are going to be given away. I just pick it up and drag it down. Oops. I just want to move it over.
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales Government's efforts to make sure that...
And then, because I want to end the shot there, I'm just going to, instead of using the scissors, I'm just going to make this shorter. And the next shot is this one here. Again, select it, just drag it down and put it next to this shot.
To make sure that Sydney is a cleaner and greener city. We know that plants have a really...
And then I'll just add the next one.
Wales Government's efforts to make sure that Sydney is a cleaner and greener city. We know that plants have a really important role to play in the development of our city. The more trees we have, the...
And when she's talking about the more trees we have, I might just go to another drone shot if I have a different one. So there you go. I'll do the old scissor on that. Oops. Again, I wasn't selected, so I select it. Press the scissors. Play. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Pause. Scissors. And then pick it up and drag it down.
I'm here to launch launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales Government's efforts to make sure that Sydney is a cleaner and greener city. We know that plants have a really important role to play in the development of our city. The more trees we have, the more we can add to our city with attractive streetscapes.
Now, if I had the time, I'd just go through and find more relevant shots that had nice trees and streetscapes. But for this example, you can see, it's only taken a couple of minutes. We've put a piece to camera on the timeline. We've put some music down. We've put the end graphic on, and we've added 5 shots, and we're over halfway there. So now it's just a matter of adding a few more shots before we're able to sort of output the video. So we can finish the video there, but there's a couple of other things that we can do. Like as I said earlier, we're going to look at transitions. So we're able to put some transitions in between the overlay, and we're also wanting to put a name and title super on the project. So firstly, we'll start with the transitions. And if we come down to here, filters and transitions, I'll just use something like a simple blur effect, but it's more to show you how it works. If you want to use a blur effect or one of these transitions, you can just drag it down, and when you hover it over, the plus button goes larger, and when the plus button is larger, it means that transition is going to be added to that edit. And we're going back and have a look.
To make sure that Sydney is a cleaner and greener.
If you wanted to do like a close transition, do so there.
City. We know that plants have a really important role to.
And you can see there's plenty of options with the transitions, but my suggestion would be to keep it as simple as possible. Any time you have a transition that makes you go, whoa, that's a fair indication that you shouldn't be using it. So the softer and more subtle it is, the better. So now what we're going to do is add a name and job title graphic, which is really quite simple as well. So we come over here to text. And the one that we use, which is more aligned to the DPI brand, is the mirror title. Really simple again. Just click it and drag it. And when that line goes green, it creates a graphic video track or track. And you can minimize it for that space. And when you go to the beginning and press play,
Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the.
You'll see that that's how it animates on and off. But now what we want to do is adjust that. Firstly, we need more time for it to do that. So I'm going to make this shorter, and I'm going to make the title longer. And I'm also going to adjust where it is. So here's where the transform button is pretty good. I can come up to transform, and I can go, I want that on the top left, and turn the transform off. And now when I play it,
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales Government's efforts.
All right, but what we want to do is put the name in. So again, we make it green. We go to text. We go to the name, Johanna. Press enter. That'll make the second line. And we go to tree PTC, tree piece to camera. So obviously you put the correct title in there. And here we have the drop down menu to put in the DPI branded fonts. But we can explain how we get the DPI branded fonts in at a later date. So for now, we'll just do DM Sans. And now when we select it,
here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales
and
Government's
you can see that it now is too large, so we're going to want to make it smaller, and I might want to move it to a different location. So I make it, select it, come up, selected up here, and I have the option to change the size from this location. But what we also want to do is, that's a yellow that we wouldn't use. We use a red color. So we can go to colors, and down here we can actually put in double B and then 4 zeros, BB, enter, and now you have the DPi red. So when we go to the beginning of the video now and we have a watch.
I'm here to launch this year's Great Tree Giveaway. It's part of the New South Wales Government's efforts to make sure that Sydney is a cleaner and greener city. We know that plants have a really important role to play in the development of our city. The more trees we have, the more we can add to our city with attractive streetscapes, creating a healthier environment for animals and people alike. It's also how we can combat the urban heat island effect. So come and collect your tree, and let's work together to achieve the target of planting 1 million new trees by the end of the year.
There you go. So all we need to do now is we need to export that video and send it on its way to wherever it needs to go. And for today's exercise, we're just going to export the video. And we have the option up here, so we can rename it. Because this is a paid account, I have the option of 480p, 720p and 1080p in high quality. Continue. When it exports like this, it actually exports to your downloads folder. And what I do is I take it from the downloads folder and put it into the Clipchamp project folder that we created for the video. So whenever I need the file, I know exactly where it is and I can share it the way that I need to share it. Okay, so the file has exported. If you come down to this window at the bottom, you can show it in Finder, and there it is in my downloads folder, tree giveaway. I like to copy it. Go to my Clipchamp folder and paste it in there. Some really simple tips there. I really hope that you take up the opportunity to learn Clipchamp. It's a great piece of editing software in my opinion, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're able to do with this in the future.